What's going on YouTube, it's Jason, and today I'm going to be discussing what is the best cardio for fat loss. Now, cardio has long been associated with fat loss, for good reason. While you don't need to do cardio, it makes your life so much easier. You burn more calories, you boost your metabolism, and you create a greater deficit, to name a few things. In this video, I'm going to go through the different types of cardio, the benefits and drawbacks of each, some myths, and ultimately which is the best for fat loss. So let's start off with the most popular type of cardio that probably everybody's familiar with. Low intensity steady state cardio, or LISS. Now this is what I call the hamster wheel cardio. You go to any gym in the world and this is the most common type. You see all the cardio machines hogged by people doing low intensity steady state, the same thing again and again. In terms of heart rate, you're aiming for about 50 to 65% of your maximum heart rate. FYI, your max heart rate is around 220 minus your age. So 50 to 65% of that. And in terms of duration, this type of cardio typically lasts anywhere from 45 to 60 minutes. It can be as little as 30 minutes, but bear in mind, it doesn't burn many calories. The first benefit is that anyone can do it. It doesn't require a base level of fitness. Anyone at any age or any weight can perform low intensity cardio. Another benefit is that it allows for faster recovery. It doesn't tax the muscles as much. This is great for if you're cross-training with something like weights, for example. The third benefit is that because it's less taxing, you can perform it more frequently. And finally, low intensity cardio increases your endurance. So what's the drawbacks? Well, the main drawback of low intensity cardio is that it's time consuming and mind-numbingly boring. I see so many people go to the gym and just perform cardio for an hour without an iPad or anything to watch or listen to. Where on earth does your mind go? And the second drawback that's often not discussed is that your body adapts to this kind of cardio the fastest. Let's take walking for example. Let's say you're burning 300 calories for an hour of walking. Eventually that's going to become 250 and then 200. And this is why for a lot of people, fat loss slows down, because essentially their deficit becomes smaller. So moving on to moderate intensity cardio, our in-betweener, this is typically performed at 65 to 75% of your maximum heart rate and is around 30 to 40 minutes in duration. In terms of benefits, it's less time consuming than low intensity cardio, obviously because it's more intense. Secondly, you burn more fat as fuel. I'll get onto the fat burning zone in the drawbacks. Thirdly, because of the increased intensity, you also benefit from improved endurance and cardiovascular benefits. And finally, the risk of injury is reduced versus high intensity. So what's the drawbacks? Well, the fat burning zone, which is 70% of your maximum heart rate, is obviously covered in moderate intensity cardio. Now, although you burn more fat as fuel, this is a misrepresentation because high intensity cardio, for example, burns more total calories. And it's actually total calories that has a bigger impact on fat loss. So using fat versus glycogen doesn't mean you burn more total fat. The second drawback is that there is a higher barrier to entry than low intensity cardio. You do require a base level of fitness to be able to do moderate intensity cardio. And finally, with increased intensity comes an increased injury risk. So moving on to the big dog, high intensity cardio. This is typically performed at 80 to 85% of your maximum heart rate. And I stress is short and sharp, typically around 10 to 15 minutes long, but no longer than 20 minutes. So many times I hear people say, oh, I did a HIIT class, or I did a HIIT down the gym. I did it for 45 minutes. FYI, if you can do the cardio for 45 minutes, it probably isn't HIIT. True HIIT in its purest form will destroy everyone in 20 minutes. So what are the pros and cons? Well, the first benefit is that this type of cardio burns the most calories because you burn calories at the time and also after exercise. Because of this afterburn effect, this also boosts your metabolism for hours after training. The third benefit is that it's less time consuming. If you think you can perform true HIIT in 10 minutes, which is a third of the time of low and moderate intensity. HIIT also helps you to maintain muscle mass and can contribute to an increase in muscle mass. And finally, performance. High intensity cardio translates much better to things like sport. Moving on to the drawbacks, this type of cardio is not for everyone. Obviously, because of the increased intensity, you do need to be a fit person. Another drawback is that because it's so intense, this type of cardio carries the highest risk of injury. Many times in the past I've pulled a hamstring or pulled my calf trying to do HIIT. And finally, recovery. True HIIT completely wipes you out, which can impact your day to day. So they are the main types of cardio, which one is the most effective for fat loss, and which cardio exercise burns the most calories. So I hate to be that annoying guy, but of course it depends on your individual circumstances. Your level of fitness, your available time, your injuries, your health conditions, all of these need to be considered. But I would probably say if I had to pick one, I would pick either low intensity cardio or high intensity, or a mixture of the two. I do find in terms of efficiency and calorie burn, nothing really beats HIIT. But I don't recommend HIIT for everyone because of the barriers to entry. So if you got me 10 people at random, I'd probably recommend low intensity cardio. Simply because it doesn't require any specialist skill and you can repeat it again and again very easily. So I tend to do a mixture of the two, but when I push my body fat down to lower levels, I do lean more towards low intensity cardio. When you start dropping your calories, this does start to impact recovery. So with it taking longer to recover, low intensity cardio is ideal. So in terms of bang for the buck cardio exercises that burn the most calories, of course it's going to vary depending on intensity and duration, but the four that I would say are the most effective are running, swimming, rowing and skipping. So that's it. Which cardio you lean towards is going to depend on your individual circumstances and goals. But low intensity cardio is for everyone. I always tell clients, pre-pandemic, most of us were doing low intensity cardio 5 days a week commuting to work. And as a trend, most people pre-COVID were able to maintain a lower weight. So that's it. Don't forget to drop this video a like, comment below, let me know which cardio you prefer, please subscribe, and I'll see you again soon.